science fiction and fantasy enthusiasts, and welcome to our podcast. With Ryan Sean O'Reilly, David Wilkinson, and Richard Mell. You're listening to No Deodorant in Outer Space. Now, let's get started.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of No Deodorant in Outer Space. This is Ryan Sean O'Reilly, and joining me on this episode is Richard Mell.
Hey, how you doing?
And David Wilkinson.
What's up, fuckers?
This is the second part of our Watchmen episode where we're going to actually cover the movie, and joining us once again is Quinn Biola from the This Q podcast. Quinn, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, man.
Sorry if I'm butchering your name.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So I don't think we need to do new intros or anything like that. The last episode, we just covered the book, so we can get into the movie. The movie was, of course, directed by the director, Zack Synder, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Wilk, you're going to tell us a little bit about Mr. Snyder and give us a little bio and background on him.
Yeah. Should I start now?
Yeah, why don't we just go ahead and get right into it? When did this movie come out? This movie came out in 2009, I think, yeah.
Okay. I don't like Zack Synder. I don't like him.
I'm with you, brother.
Don't like him at all. He's from Wisconsin. That's one strike.
Green Bay.
He's got 8 kids.
Green Bay.
So he's an asshole. Yeah. He has 8 fucking kids. Who the fuck has 8 kids? Dickheads.
8.
You can't raise 8 kids and love 8
My my relatives had like 10 kids. One of my grandparents.
Yeah, super. Well, it's 2016, so who has 8 kids
Super.
right now? We have birth control. Now, I'm sorry, you're a dickhead if you have 8 kids.
Nobody
You can't
has that.
possibly
Well, you know, we
love
were
8
raised
kids.
we were raised Catholic. We were raised Catholic. We don't, that.
Yeah, well, that didn't take, did it? Okay, so, I mean, you're raised Catholic, but you've probably had sex, so you're going to hell. So let's not pretend we're Catholic now all of a sudden. Okay, 8 kids is bullshit in 2016. I mean, you can't possibly devote the attention kids deserve.
He didn't have the kids in 2016. He's been married a couple times.
He picked up 2 kids during his last movie. He's like, I already got 6 kids. Let's adopt 2 more. What the fuck? That is a sign of you being a sociopathic dickhead. It is. I'm sorry.
He's probably
There's a fine
rich
line
enough.
between adopting kids and being like so egotistical. It's like, I'm going to make these kids. I'm going to just absorb these kids into my family. No, fuck you. Go get a puppy or some shit. I mean, 8 goddamn kids.
He's a millionaire. He can have as
Wisconsin.
many kids as he wants.
Yeah, maybe that's noble of him to adopt kids. He's got resources.
Maybe
to,
maybe
give
it's
good
noble,
life to people.
but shortcut, it's not noble. He's a dickhead, okay? But his first big movie was Dawn of the Dead, which
Just
was
concerned with
fantastic.
spreading his seed as far and
for
as
a
wide as
dickhead,
possible.
God, he's an asshole. But Dawn of the Dead was a great movie. He made that movie. It was good. And then he made 300, I believe, after that, which was also an adaptation of a graphic novel by Frank Miller. Also a pretty good movie. A famous social scientist once said that 300, while it's a good movie, if you watch it more than once, you're probably a homosexual. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And I asked Ryan, how many times have you watched 300? Because Ryan's... No? Okay. So, no, but 300 was a good movie. A little bit homoerotic, a little bit over the top, but a good movie. And then he made some owl movie, which was stupid. Then he made a movie that he wrote called Sucker Punch, which was just fucking terrible. And then he made Watchmen, which was a pretty good movie, but he ruined the ending. Then he ruined Superman and Man of Steel. And then he ruined Batman and Superman again in his last movie. So he's an asshole. But here are the good things about him. He's good at taking graphic images from print and literature and conveying that to the screen. He's bad at not ruining things that I love. So That's where he falls short. And he's also probably a really shitty dad because he just adopted 2 fucking kids for no reason when he had 6 other kids. I mean, can you imagine your parents are divorced, you've got a new mom, and all of a sudden dad comes home with 2 more fucking kids? What the fuck, Dad? You couldn't even say married.
Your inheritance just divided
kids?
2 more times.
Well, it's like, I want attention, I want some love. I'm away from you 8 months out of the year because you got a new mom, and now you adopted 2 fucking kids? Why, you ruined Superman? Fuck you! Goddamn Zack Synder.
All right, let's focus on his actual career and leave the family issues out of it.
I think it's
keep that. So he spoke about all of his other works. We're done.
So he's had a very successful career, and I think that the movie 300 did astronomically well, right? The box office on that,
great big box office rewards. Innovative way to shoot it.
You and I saw that in the theater. Budget. Remember that, Ryan?
Did we?
We held hands.
Did you watch it twice? Yeah. No, 300 was good the first time.
Okay.
Just saying.
Okay. So, do you have anything else about Snyder?
He's a dick.
All right.
He is. He's a dick.
Does anyone else? Well, Quinn, did you have any comments on Snyder as the director?
Well, in prep for the podcast, reading the book again and then watching the movie so closely to after watching Batman versus Superman for review on my own podcast,
the This Cuke podcast.
I have to quote something that my co-host Skid said. Like he has this. Stylistically, he has this great thing about, just like Wilk said, bringing still images onto screen and illustrating them. However, I think with the Watchmen movie, what doesn't work for me in this time around watching it, because when I first saw it, I was like, this is just incredible. But like now watching it again, he really tries to make all the violence just look really cool in situations that maybe it shouldn't be like, oh wow, this is so stylized and great. You know what I'm saying? I think he takes impact out of violence through how he shoots movies, especially Watchmen, which I think the violence has to have like different dimensions to it.
So in cases where the violence is too profound or maybe too sadist, or he kind of puts a positive spin on it and makes you want to kind of go out and do the same thing, or is that what you're getting at? Or
I think he has a glorified kind of a take on violence in his visual style.
That's unfortunate. Yeah,
cool. Like he makes it cool, and it's sometimes that the violence as it happens in the story of the Watchmen movie, like for example when Silk Spectre and Night Owl 2 get jumped in the alley. If you read that in the book, it's just a very quick. They get jumped in the alley and they mess up these guys. You watch it in the movie.
Oh yeah, it's
like
prolonged scene. Yeah,
it's like, I hate using this term because I think it's lazy, but it was basically like action movie porn. You know, you get to see them break an arm, and it just like, man,
Steven Seagal,
right, dude? Like, absolutely.
Yeah. Right.
Is Snyder's Zack Snyder's other movies are focused on the action as much, or more like thriller based and stuff?
Dawn of the Dead wasn't. I thought Dawn of the Dead was actually pretty good. Everything else though has that 300 type thing going on.
Wilk, did you feel the same way? I feel like you did say that.
Yeah. Well, Dawn of the Dead was one of my. I love that movie, and I was shocked when I saw Zack Snyder, but that was really one of his first. And he did a great job. But I think if I did define Zack Snyder, is he likes to take a genre and throw it on its head, but to the point that it's not cute. It's like a M. Night Shyamalan kind of thing where you have to expect him to ruin something. He has to make every ending a downer, has to kill the hero. I mean, it gets to the point where it's so unpredictable, it's predictable kind of thing where, I mean, I think he bastardized like, The Watchmen's a great property for him, even though I think he fucked it up at the end. But it's a dark anti-hero kind of thing. This is not the guy that I want making Superman or Batman. I don't think he did a good job. I don't think he respected the property. And again, really in Watchmen, my big problem with Watchmen is he made Dr. Manhattan the fall guy, the villain, which is really which is kind of the antithesis of the whole book. Manhattan is a disinterested god, which is a whole different feeling and concept than what Zack Snyder brought into the movie. Let's blame Dr. Manhattan and force him to leave the planet. No, Manhattan wanted to leave the planet anyways. He was already gone. And that part really bothered me. I thought he missed one of the major points and pieces of the book. And also, back to him being an asshole, the writer of the book flat out said, don't make this into a movie, and he made it a movie anyway. So he's kind of a dickhead. He's a culture.
Well, I heard interviews where Zack Snyder was saying, that he had sympathy for Alan Moore's plight, and he I think it sounded like he tried to reach out to Alan Moore and was like, or it just, he had this, the mindset that we don't want to piss that guy off. We want to pay homage to the original work and we don't upset him. And then he worked with Dave Gibbons, the artist, to do this. Dave Gibbons was involved with this movie, or at least, it to some extent.
I got a bone to pick.
So if
Dr. Manhattan is not a god, he's kind of like a synthetic
Willie Nelson's
god.
banging a hooker. Well, he's a god, dude. I mean, he can create life. He can do whatever he wants. I mean,
technically, he's a god. He's a synthetic god.
As much of a god as you're going to get.
Wait, Wilk, let's go back to Wilk's Willie Nelson hooker analogy. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, elaborate on that.
I'm saying Willie Nelson's begging a hooker, and he's playing "You're Always on My Mind" and playing that for his wife. Does that make it all right? I mean, I'm saying when Zack Snyder says, I reached out to Alan Moore, well, Alan Moore said, no, don't bang the hooker, Willie Nelson. Don't make the movie, Zack Snyder. The writer said, don't make it. You made it anyways. Willie Nelson banged the hooker. It doesn't make it right because they were always on your mind. That's a bullshit song. That's a bullshit reason.
That's fucking great.
That's awesome.
I don't like him.
Actually,
all right, let's go to you, Rick. Why don't you give us not a synopsis of the movie, but why don't you give us some comparison of this movie to the book and the differences? I think Wilk was alluding to a huge difference between the book and movie, but why don't you just, in a, kind of a brief capsulation, give us a comparison of the graphic novel to the movie and any like major differences between the two?
I think the only nod the movie gives to the parallel stories and all the different facets going on in the book is basically just the under the hood story written by Hollis Mason. He's got no choice but to go back into the history, but that's about it. I can't say that. There might be some more subtle things that are worked into the movie. It's another movie where I got to see more than once to appreciate it. But standing on its own, I really have an appreciation for the movie. Watching that movie was, for me, it was my gateway to get into the book. I saw the movie first, and then I got into the book.
Okay.
Because I
also saw the movie years ago before I saw the book, or before I read the book.
So it was at least good enough to...
Real quick, I thought of Rick...
Yeah.
I thought of you, Rick, when I rewatched it this week. Did you like that Bob Dylan opening sequence, The Times They Are Changing?
Oh yeah, I loved it. That was a great, what do you call those things? Montages.
Yeah.
I thought it kind of it kind of moved you emotionally, especially with the scene at the Ohio school where the students get shot. That was a little bit more intense than what actually happened. But I mean, it was just like a firing line on a bunch of students, and it outright depicts the comedian assassinating JFK, and you don't even get any of that imagery
right. That's kind of ballsy.
From the book. There's just a verbal allusion to it. So the movie kind of makes things a little bit more plain. It serves it up on a silver platter for you, and that's what movies are there for. I mean, they really kind of have to kind of put it, shove it in your face.
I thought the use of the more modern soundtrack, using some of those, using some of those rock tunes and stuff, which were quoted in the book and probably very appropriate to use. I don't know that I cared for that. I thought that some of the music choices,
are you kidding me? I mean,
scrap. Yeah,
I thought it was well weaved because I mean the music was alluded to in the book. I mean, they alluded to several songs in the book, and you almost had those songs in your mind while you were reading, just because it was kind of like the profound, title page of each magazine or each issue that came out. They kind of started with a Dylan quote, and there was another one, Elvis Costello quote. So it sort of compels you to go ahead, look up those songs and sort of listen to them. All along the Watchtower, Jimi Hendrix is in the book. They played the song during the movie. I appreciated that.
Well, that's a cover song. Yeah.
What else?
It was definitely appropriate.
I thought it was.
I don't blame anyone for choosing those. I don't know that I wanted it.
I mean, you had to weave those into the movie, and he did. He did perfectly.
Yeah.
The only music choice I didn't like was the 99 Luft Red Balloons into them going to dinner the first time. I was like, why?
Yeah. It was a popular 80s song.
Were there balloons? Yeah. Was there something? I didn't quite get that. But like the rest of the music, though, I agree with. Like I even liked the verse that he used from Hallelujah when Silk Spectre and Night Owl were having sex.
Oh.
Like that song has like over 100 verses.
Who's the writer of that song? Who sings that song? Is that Tom Waits?
No.
Neil Diamond? Is it Neil Diamond?
No, it's oh man.
Well, I know there's an era. There's a what's his name? Did it in the
Jeff
90s?
Buckley made it popular.
Yeah, Jeff Buckley.
However,
it sounded like they wanted to use Jeff Buckley, but they couldn't get the rights to it. That's what it sounded like.
Wilk, what did you think about the montage?
The opening montage?
Yeah, like the one, where...
Yeah. I loved it.
With Dylan,
I'd forgotten about it.
Okay.
I put the movie on Sunday, I think, or Monday, and I was watching it. You throw Dylan into a movie, and you pretty much got me at that point. Unless it's like about pedophiles, fucking kids, I'm gonna enjoy the song.
Leonard Cohen.
It's Dylan.
Yeah, Leonard Cohen.
I like Leonard Cohen too.
Yeah, it was moving, and the scenes in the montage were kind of dead on with the feel, and it just kind of underscored the alternate history that was. He basically encapsulated the alternate history in about a minute and a half.
Yeah,
and I thought it was genius.
I don't know. I thought it was appropriate, but part of me wasn't into it.
That was well done.
Well, Wilk, let me go to you. Let's go to the ending, which we kind of we alluded to in the previous episode on the book. The ending for the movie is different. It is different than the way that the book ends. The book ends with Ozymandias, Adrian Veidt. He is conceived. He's had some writer from one of the metafictional elements of the book design a giant squid to be like an alien being, a huge being, and have it teleported into New York. And when it appears there, it explodes and kills millions of people. And the idea that he has is that humans will feel that aliens have invaded the world, and thus they will stop fighting each other and band together behind a common enemy, which we talked about was an allusion to an episode of, I think, the Outer Limits TV show. And that is not the way the movie ended. Why don't you explain how the movie ended as a comparison?
Well, the movie ended
like the movie
in
ending.
A cliche of Zack Snyder in the movie 300, in the movie Superman, and in the movie Batman vs. Superman, and in Watchmen has a very similar ending where somehow a man that has become a god is killed. And he took the Dr. Manhattan character and basically made it look like they had framed him as the villain so that Ozymandias had somehow beaten the godlike character and vanquished him. Which, again, that's fine, but that's not what that's not what the Watchmen's about. The Watchmen is about what is a hero, what makes you heroic, what are those tough decisions, and the godlike character was disinterested, which made it that much more chilling, that much more real, because it takes a superhero out of the equation completely, which I think is a metaphor for God, because we don't know what God is, what role he has in our life, and whether he's real or not real, he doesn't have a big effect on our daily life, and that's what Dr. Manhattan was in this book, and that's why, to me, it was so compelling to remove Dr. Manhattan on his own volition. In the movie, they outwit Dr. Manhattan to the extent that they frame him, and Ozymandias somehow gets him vanquished from the world because he's blamed for the destruction, which seems completely unnecessary and kind of counter... I don't know, it just seems to be flying in the face of the Watchmen's all about. And I like it's a well-made... Zack Snyder knows how to shoot a film. He can make a great movie. I just think he likes to fuck with the story.
Yeah.
To the point that it's irreparable.
You keep bringing up, how...
That's my thought.
Okay.
Rick, go ahead.
You keep bringing up that Dr. Manhattan is like a god. I completely disagree. I don't think that was Moore's intent. He is a superhero.
He's a superpower. He is
a superpower.
He's a symbolism of the nuclear age. He's a symbol
of plasm. Okay.
Nuclear power. Yeah.
And he's got all those.
They do call him a god in the book,
but
though.
guys, he creates life.
He creates life.
He goes off to create life on other planets. I mean, how is that not godlike? I mean, that's pretty godlike.
This is why it's not godlike.
The argument of
this is why it's not godlike. Moore is. I don't think he believes in the God. I think he more believes in that God is dead. And the character of Ozymandias is like the Ubermensch. He is
godlike,
the self-fulfilling human being who basically reaches his ultimate potential, uses 100% of his brain. To me, Ozymandias is kind of like the metaphorical God, because he's the Superman. He's the Ubermensch, as Nietzsche would say. And Dr. Manhattan is not a god because he doesn't understand humans. If there was a god and he made man, then he would at least understand and sort of have those sensibilities. Dr. Manhattan has no sensibility. Well, good luck making life, Dr. Manhattan. Maybe you can make some bacteria or some shit like that,
The sequel to the Watchmen.
Well, but he does though. In the book, he can't create life.
In the book and in the movie, when they do the line about the Superman exists and he's American, and then they talk to the guy again and he was like, no, I didn't say that. I said God exists and he's American. Because, and then even Dr. Manhattan's girlfriend that got the cancer says that she's weirded out by him because he's now a god. I think that him being not understanding humans almost makes him more godlike because he has a higher concern. Like, his concern isn't about the minutia of their feelings. He has a higher understanding of
right. But God is not blind though, like Dr. Manhattan.
And Q, he is a human. I mean, Rick, he's not like the Old Testament biblical God. I'm just saying he's godlike, and you can't really argue with that. He's got powers that transcend human powers. That's all that's all I'm saying. I mean, he's a God type character. He's not your God, my God, but he's godlike. And they flat out say that. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's even debatable.
There's only one God.
Got godlike powers, and that he's the only character that does.
I guess I'm trying to have a religious debate without even having a religious debate.
Sure.
Well, I mean, I think what Wilk is saying, and this is clear, Dr. Manhattan is the only one with actual superpowers. The other heroes, superheroes, are more their physical powers. I mean, even Adrian Veidt, Ozymandias, he's just super intelligent and super athletic. But Dr. Manhattan actually has superpowers. He can teleport. He can just do anything just about him. He talks about walking on the sun.
Yeah.
So he is godlike, and he can see the future and the past, I think.
Yeah, that's one of
he has prescience.
In the movie, they use the excuse of the tachyons being able to block him being able to see the future.
In Vietnam, right, when the comedian kills his prostitute who is pregnant, okay, in front of Dr. Manhattan. Dr. Manhattan sits there and he watches the comedian kill this woman right in front of him, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't do anything about it. If he was God, right?
Yeah. So,
well, I guess God, as we know it,
billions of people.
Yeah, you're right.
God kills everyone.
You're right.
How is it not godlike? God kills everything.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. Sorry. That's all.
Satanist. No, but okay. But I'm not saying he's a Christian God or not a Christian God. I'm just, whatever. We're all on the same page.
Okay. Sorry about all that God shit. I just thought okay.
I don't mind.
Well, I think it's a very good point because I mean, definitely the character of Dr. Manhattan is worth considering as a godlike character. I think it's Hollis Mason who says that when Dr. Manhattan comes on the scene, his quote is, "We've been replaced." And he doesn't just mean superheroes. He says mankind. I think he means like mankind. It's like the appearance of Dr. Manhattan changes everything.
At the end of the book, the triumph is not of the superheroes. It's of a man. A man brings about the peace through human means, destruction. Very like Harry S. Truman. And the whole point is the superhero, the true superhero, Dr. Manhattan, didn't bring that about. He was ineffectual. He was disinterested. He was gone. And to me, the movie changes that scope where they try and make him the villain. Not bringing Dr. Manhattan into the ending in the book is superior to the movie version where they blame it on him. And they make Dr. Manhattan the enemy. And again, that's a Snyder thing where he wants humans to turn against people that are more powerful than them, aliens or gods and what have you. And I don't know. It just seems to run throughout his work. Do
you think Snyder has like a God agenda? Or
an anti-God agenda?
That would kind of they would have to be anti-God, right?
Looking at his movies, he has anti-humans becoming God agenda. Like in 300, the Persian king is godlike, and they say that, but when they throw a spear at him, it's like, "I made a god bleed." That's a line from the movie. And if you look at the imagery in The Man of Steel, it's very much they're using Jesus Christ poses and things like that. And the new one, again, they definitely use that iconic imagery of religious symbols for Superman, and they fucking spoiler
right
at the end.
Yeah, I was totally surprised by that. But go on.
Well, let me just interrupt here, and Quinn, let me ask Quinn, how did you feel about the ending of the book versus the movie? Because the book ends with a squid-like creature appearing, and the movie ends with Dr. Manhattan sort of being blamed and the world uniting against Dr. Manhattan. How did you compare those two endings for yourself?
I don't think a mass audience. Well, okay, I'll answer it with, you know how I said earlier about how like he made all the violence like look really cool, and I think that was a way to like try to hook people that wouldn't be normally compelled by a story like this into the movie. I also think that the choice was made not to use the Cthulhu monster because that probably would have threw people off at the end.
Yeah, it would take a lot more production, much more budget to do.
I don't think so.
The book ending.
I think he could have done that easily with a green screen effect.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's as
money wise,
still needs CGI.
I think what Wilk is saying, like where it totally destroys the Manhattan part of the story from the book, but like I think the way they were trying to play it off, I think it played better in the movie to what he was trying to market. It
did seem like it was more tight by having Dr. Manhattan be the source of the problem than this. It almost felt like Deus Ex Machina by having the squid-like creature appear. Although, I don't know. I was undecided when I ultimately read that. Did I feel like the editor of the comic book felt that the writer that they could have done better? I don't know. I think I almost liked both versions.
Sure. I mean, the book definitely was a sign of its own times. Like, you're not going to end a comic book from 1986 with scapegoating the godlike figure. You're going to end it with us fighting a big monster.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
yeah. That makes sense, yeah.
Wilk, did you feel differently?
Well, I mean, I felt differently when I saw the movie originally, and I wasn't that familiar with Zack Snyder. I thought that it was a production decision. It was done for pragmatic reasons, for the things that Q just said, and I was inclined, but age and evolution and watching Zack Snyder, I think he just likes doing this shit. I think he likes the idea of taking down godlike men. I really do. It's prevalent throughout his work, which makes
Wilk, I'm sold on your argument, dude. I really am. I believe you. I especially after rewatching it yesterday. I think that his work that's totally all about what his work is about.
Yeah.
Okay.
It really is. I mean, and again, that's my thought. And again, Zack Snyder was more up and coming when this came out, and now he's more established. And I just think it's a common theme throughout his stuff. And I don't know. I liked the movie less this time than I watched it in the theater in 2009 when it came out. But it's still a good movie.
Yeah, I like it.
But I feel the ending changes the whole tone. But it's pretty faithful up until the last 20 minutes.
It's quite the undertaking to try to make a movie like this too. Honestly, I mean, as much as I want to poke holes and stuff that he's done with it, I mean, it's still, like you said, it's a pretty badass movie, man. Like,
one of the early directors slated to work on this was Terry Gilliam of Monty Python fame, who's come up occasionally on this podcast, and I think his quote was that this movie was unfilmable.
Yeah, I've read that.
Yeah, and talking to Moore, so it was a difficult work to achieve, and I think Terry Gilliam wanted to do like a miniseries on it, which, you know, this is probably appropriate for a miniseries.
Dude, in this day and age, to see Watchmen on TV, that would be the shit. Like, either FX or HBO doing a Watchmen miniseries, I think that's the optimum way to do it. But I mean, back, like, if they were trying to make this in the 90s, no. If I'm glad it was made in 2009, because if it was made in the 90s, the movie would be fucking awful.
I can see that.
Absolutely awful.
Now they were made. Did anyone check out? There was a motion comic version made of this in 2008, and it came out in DVD on 2009, directed by Jake Strider Hughes. Did anyone else check that out? The motion comic?
I just saw like the first couple of chapters on that, and you know, right off the bat, I noticed that they didn't give Alan Moore any damn credit at all.
I wonder if he removed his. I wonder if he removed his name from it, because I mean, I know, like on the movie, he did not want his name associated with it.
Yeah, well, his name wasn't in the credits. Dave Givens was. But,
that might have been coming from Moore. Moore might have requested that,
maybe. But I mean, his work was already done. He didn't have to lay a finger on it. So
yeah.
You know.
I watched the motion comic some years ago. I enjoyed it. It's very long. I remember it being, I don't know if it's like 5 hours long or something like that. It's like they take the original artwork and they do like a sort of a slight animation to it. It's definitely worth checking out. If you're a Watchmen fan, and I think it's a popular work. It's got limitless depth, and I think if you're into this, it's worth checking out the motion comic. The medium of the motion comic doesn't seem to have been real popular. There's not a lot of motion comics out there, but this was definitely worthy of trying that medium, and it's definitely worth checking out, I felt.
Yeah. It's almost good that they didn't get into anything other than the main plot, because if they did, oh my God, I don't know how they would have done that as a motion comic, but
it would have been 20 hours long, man.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, it's got like a single narrator who does like multiple voices, and they just do like a slight animation of the original artwork. Another thing I checked out in just kind of re-looking at this work was that, and I think Zack Snyder was the one behind this, is, we talked about the comic within the comic, the Black Freighter, and the autobiography within the work by Hollis Mason called Under the Hood. Those were put to video at Zack Snyder's behest, I believe, and released almost as companion pieces to the movie. Mm-hmm. I checked those out. Under the Hood is sort of reimagined as a modern sort of like expose TV show, and they do a fully animated version, not a motion comic, but a fully animated version of Tales of the Black Freighter, which is the pirate comic within the Watchmen comic. And I remember Gibbons, and maybe more as well, saying that they wanted to have a comic within the comic to show, to build the world and flesh it out. And they thought, well, in a world where superheroes exist, what would people be into reading about? And they I guess stumbled upon pirates, or they happened upon pirates and said that's what people would be checking out. And so in this short film, I think it's like less than 30 minutes, they show a fully animated version of the Tales of the Black Freighter. And I'm guessing you guys did not check that out.
I looked at it. It was 10 minutes. Yeah. It was short and sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, but all of you have read the Tales of the Black Freighter within the Watchmen comic, and it's throughout the work except for maybe the last chapter. What's your take on that? The metafiction within the fiction, the inclusion of a comic within a comic, this story of this pirate captain who is a sort of shipwrecked and lost to the sea, and then he is afraid of this black freighter that is going to go to his home and murder or destroy his family, and he feels like he needs to get there ahead of the black freighter, and in doing so he uses, like, it's just very gruesome, he uses the bloated corpses of his shipmates to create a raft and sail ahead of that, and it's sort of like a Heart of Darkness story and a descent into madness. Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
It was a great illustration in the book of those people's of the characters' despair.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And how it paralleled while it was going on the imagery was just, it worked
powerful.
Yeah, it worked so perfectly with the parts that it was going over, which you could never do that to a live action movie.
And they don't.
Mm-hmm. And they don't. Yeah.
They don't. They did do this animated version of it, but it's not incorporated into the movie at all.
No, it'd be pretty tough to do, but they do, in the movie, they do show the scene where the kid is, leaning up against the electric hydrant and, reading the comic next to the newsstand, and he's there. It kind of gives you a little bit of comfort to know that they haven't forgotten about those parallel stories. But, yeah.
You might be, if you were to do it now, like on TV, you might be able to get away with doing the Black Freighter stuff, like when they do episodes of The Walking Dead where they only focus on a character that's not part of the group, as like an in-between episode if you were doing it on TV. But that was the benefit of having the book, and only doing that in the book. Mm-hmm. You can't really do that on screen.
It's tough. Yeah. And I think, and Alan Moore, one of his comments about this whole thing was that with comics, he wanted to use the comic medium to its extreme, to its end.
Yeah.
And he wanted to do things that only comics could do.
Yeah.
Not just recreate what movies could do. Wilk, what about you? What about the metafiction within the fiction? The Black Freighter thread. How did you feel about that within the story?
I liked it. It was a sign of the overall, like I said, labor that went into the book. It was a very compelling story, I guess, for lack of a better word. Yeah, I don't know much to say. Sorry.
So on its own, the Tales of the Black Freighter, it's a cautionary tale for heroes or people who want to do courageous things. And it's telling these people who aspire to do this is that I think, it's saying that even these people could make tremendous mistakes. And after the decision is made and after they are, execute their decision, they could either stay on the side of the light, or they can go to the dark side. And the Black Freighter, the main character, he goes to the dark side because he becomes so disillusioned with paranoia that, I mean, he's literally hallucinating once he gets back to his hometown, and he ends up killing his own family or a member of his own family. And it kind of,
yeah, it mirrors the descent of, I think, Adrian Veidt, the Ozymandias character.
It not only does that with Adrian Veidt, but it does it with Rorschach. It does it with the comedian. It does it with Dr. Manhattan. You know, with all of those
and Owl.
Not so much those two.
No,
I think they're too neutral. But every extreme character,
it's their despair in their.
There you go.
The infidelity.
Yeah. You touched on that initially.
Let Quinn elaborate.
Yeah,
Quinn, go ahead.
Like he was saying, for the other characters that were not Owl and Silk Spectre, it was that hero's journey where. It was the parallel to their hero's journey, whereas like for that couple, it was the infidelity and impotence that it was illustrating.
Yeah,
and the fact that they were blind to what was going on, and they thought that they were doing good with these random acts of kindness, but they lost sight of the big picture. That's kind of like their tragedy, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
So
and that's what the movie kind of ignores.
Well, but yet, I mean, I have to hand it to Zack Snyder to push for this animation. I think he worked with Gerard Butler on 300, right, Wilk?
He did.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he wanted to have Gerard Butler part of the Watchmen, but it ultimately didn't. So he had Gerard Butler do the voiceover work of the
captain. That's right.
Of the on the Black Freighter animation. So I have to hand it to him for recognizing that the fans would feel that this is a necessary part of the Watchmen, and all this metafiction, which is the Black Freighter, it's Under the Hood, it's the newspapers and various other elements. They're all part of the Watchmen, and he didn't ignore that. He did try to make it part of it in some way, even if it wasn't part of the story proper.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Right. And it was sacralized. It was, everything that was read out of the Black Freighter had something to do with what was going on in the current plot. It was trippy. So that was good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm ready to wrap things up there. Does anyone else have anything else to add before we give our conclusions?
I guess a real quick thought. One of the things I think that the movie did better than the book was it illustrated Dr. Manhattan's coldness to his relationship a lot better in the movie.
A lot better than the book, right?
Well, in the movie, it's done better than in the book because he's, right. Dude, in the book, when Rorschach comes in to tell them that, heads up, people are trying to off us, it gives Silk Spectre the idea to, I'll call up Owl. I haven't seen him in a while. In the movie, Dr. Manhattan is just not even really paying attention to her, and he just tells her, you're upset. You're going to go call him now.
Yeah. Because
I see it in the future. And he just says it like it's nothing. And it just totally crushes her when he says it, too. You don't really see that in the comic. In the movie, you could just see how his coldness kills her.
Yeah. The movie did a good job with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anything else the movie did better than the book? Anyone can think of anything?
I thought overall the acting was okay, although I do think that the characters of Night Owl and Rorschach and Dr. Manhattan stood out more than the other characters.
I like the comedian's actor in the movie. I thought he did a tremendous job.
Oh, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, hell yeah.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, you got to see the likability of him really came across a lot. Yeah, I wouldn't say a lot more, just a lot in the movie, because to a lesser actor, a less dimension actor, you're gonna totally fuck that character up in a movie, and that guy was deep. You could see where people liked him and where you could also hate him too.
Right. And the scene where he visits Moloch and he's crying, okay, that puts a little bit more human into the comedian than, the still shots of the comedian kind of explaining to Moloch that he'd realized something in the book. Yeah, I thought the movie kind of emphasized that human side of the comedian. But, as the book said, it was basically just professional jealousy, Once Ozymandias kind of broke it down for you, that's all it was. But it still brought the human out in him.
Yeah. All right. Well, then why don't we go ahead and give our final comments? Wilk, let's go to you. Do you have any final comments and your star rating on The Watchmen, the movie directed by Zack Snyder?
comments is it's worth watching, but if you enjoy it all the way through, then there's something wrong with you. I'd give it 3.5 stars out of 5. It's a well-made movie, but the director is an egotistical ass, and he kind of mangles the end for his own fancy.
Okay. Rick, let's go to you next on your star rating and final comments for the movie.
Yeah, I'm recommending this movie basically to everybody, but especially to those who don't have a lot of experience with comics. This is the perfect gateway into the comic world. Yeah, well, it's kind of like what happened to me. That's all I can say, but I'll give the movie 4 to 4.5 stars. It was a great movie.
Okay, great. Quinn, let's go to you next. Out of 5 stars, what would you give it, and any final comments you have on the movie?
I have a conditional actual 4-star thing. I'm actually giving it 3.5.
Oh.
However, if Dr. Manhattan was actually Keanu Reeves, it would have gotten 4.
What?
Because it would have gotten 4 because he's great at just playing that distant, like
aloof,
like alien deadness. And I love the actor that they got as Dr. Manhattan. I think that guy's fantastic, but the Keanu thing would have put it well over the top to a 4.
It's interesting because Keanu kind of like comes off of this as Wild Stallions, kind of a dumbass. And even when he's in like these smart positions like Johnny Mnemonic, he's a smart guy, right? But yeah, I guess he's quite not there, and that's your point, right?
Yeah. Did you ever see the remake of what was it, the old sci-fi movie where they cast him as the alien? God, it was perfect. Yeah. Like he really seemed like a goddamn alien.
Jesus,
you know what I'm saying?
I gotta check that out.
just no emotion, like he didn't understand, and it's like, yeah,
the Earth says so.
I see that as Dr. Manhattan, like quote unquote, evolving into Keanu Reeves.
So are you saying that you give this movie 3.5 stars as is, but you'd give it the 4-star review if Keanu Reeves got
absolutely
okay.
Nice.
Because I would like when I first saw it, I probably would have given it a solid 4 or 4.5. But I really have to agree with Wilk on a lot of aspects of how Zack handles storytelling, and the whole violence thing sort of threw me off too. I don't like how he just made everything look so cool. So okay, yeah,
fair enough. And I will say that I will give this movie 4 stars. I don't think it was perfect, but I did enjoy it thoroughly. I saw it first before I read the book. I watched it again. I watched the director's cut, full disclosure, in preparing for this episode, and I still enjoyed it, and I think it was a tough work to cover. And I think Zack Snyder did a good job, and it's definitely worth checking out, especially if you don't have time to read the graphic novel and you want to just get introduced to the material. This is a good starting point, which I think Rick also kind of echoed in his comments, that he also saw the movie before he read the book.
To be clear, yeah, 3.5 stars it's not a bad movie. I just the book is it's a 5-star book, a 3.5-star movie in my opinion. So that's that's
it's a 5-star book. Yeah.
So
okay, and then Quinn Biola, thank you for joining us on this podcast. You are a fellow.
Oh, man, thank you for having me, man.
Oh, we really appreciate it. You're a fellow podcaster. You have your own podcast called the This Q Podcast, where you talk about popular culture and wrestling, among other topics. Why don't you give a little plug for yourself on where can people find you? I know they can go onto iTunes and look up your podcast, and I've heard your podcast. It's definitely entertaining, and I've enjoyed it on a few occasions. To give us a little background on your podcast.
The background on the podcast, basically, it was the This Q podcast. It started after I listened to some episodes of Joe Rogan and Bill Burr, and the basis of the podcast before was my friend Paul and I would just get together. Paul is married, actually. He got married a few years back, and it's us as aging geek pop culture, enthusiasts, as we're aging, trying to still keep up with the things that we love, but also realizing
nothing wrong with that.
It's like, dude, we're getting old. Like, there's so many things that are passing us by. So we'll just talk about the things that we can get our hands on or have the time for. And then it basically turned into a pop culture show with a rotating door of guest hosts. So basically, we talk a lot about pop culture and sometimes a little bit of news here and there, but more times than not, it's very lighthearted and sometimes a little perverted. Who knows?
It's definitely an upbeat show. I would say that, and it's entertaining. And I've listened to, like I said, more than a few episodes, and I found it very entertaining and fun. So I would recommend people to check it out.
Me too.
The This Q podcast, which you can find on iTunes and probably anywhere you can find podcasts. Anywhere else you can find it.
Well, it's iTunes and Spreaker.
Okay,
those are the two places that you definitely. We're not on Stitcher or the iHeartRadio one or anything like that.
Okay. So. All right, great. So we urge people to check that out, and then also check out our podcast. Our website is nodeodorant.com. Our podcast is also available on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, and we're available on Stitcher and iTunes, of course, and also TuneIn Radio. And we urge anyone to check us out. If they like our podcast, go ahead and give us a 5-star rating. We always appreciate that. And if you don't like us, feel free to not give us a rating at all. And just go ahead and subscribe to our podcast, write reviews, and join us. And next month, we are going to be covering the book Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which was released in 1955 by Jack Finney. And we're going to be covering multiple films. One of the films is Invasion of the Body Snatchers, released in 1956 by Don Siegel, starring Kevin McCarthy. Another version is Invasion of the Body Snatchers, released in 1978 by Philip Kaufman, which starred Donald Sutherland. So multiple versions of that in film format, but a classic work in book format called The Invasion of the Body Snatchers. We urge you to check that out and join us next month when we cover that material.
Hey, real quick,
Quinn,
quick. Have you guys done Who Goes There in The Thing yet?
No.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
The
Thing,
if you ever do, I'd like to come back for it.
For sure.
Was it a book first?
Done.
Yeah, Who Goes There was the book that it was based off of, and then it was The Thing in like 1950 something.
Oh,
yeah.
cool. Yeah, we're gonna have to.
Oh shit, let's do that in a heartbeat.
And then they remade it to The Thing.
The Kurt Russell movie,
sweet,
right? With The Thing.
Yeah, my favorite horror movie.
Russell.
It's a remake.
Yeah, Kurt Russell. Jesus,
No,
I saw
no
that
shit.
a long time
that was
ago.
a book. I had no idea that was a book. That's one of the
Yes.
best.
I didn't know that
movies.
either.
Oh my god, it's
Yeah,
that's
we'll
a
have
great
to,
movie,
we'll have
right,
to
dude?
cover that one. That
Hey,
was
no,
Kurt Russell did Big Trouble in Little China, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
his best movie. Well, one of them.
You know
That
what
and
Kurt
Tango and
Russell is?
Cash.
What the fuck?
Was he in Interspace, right?
Yes.
All right, so yeah, do your thing, Ryan, and
Okay, so again, visit us at nodeodorant.com. Please subscribe to our podcast, and that's it. So everyone say healthy and hearty good night. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks for joining us, Quinn. We appreciate
good
it.
night, good night, good
Thank
night.
Okay.
For more information on the topics discussed in this episode, or to read our show notes and find us on social media, visit nodeodorant.com. For more information on Ryan Sean O'Reilly and his various works of fiction, visit ryanseanoreilly.com. For more information on David Wilkinson, visit drycracker.com. For more information on Richard Mell, check out his profile at goodreads.com. The theme music for this podcast was written by John Doyle from the band I Decline. You can visit him at i-decline.com. Voiceover for this podcast was provided by me, Margaret O'Reilly. Well, that concludes our episode. We hope you've learned a lot. Again, thanks for listening to our show. And always, always remember, there is no deodorant in outer space.
I didn't hear what you say. You're cutting out. It's probably because of that upload from
I'm saying if you
Dropbox.
watch-
Again, if you could just disable that.
I
Will,
don't
Will.
have Dropbox open.
Are you uploading
I
right now?
I shut it off.
Because you are cutting out. I want to hear you,
like
man.
5
I want to hear you. I
times.
want to
Yeah,
interact
he-
with you.
If you, yeah.
He dropped the WAV file
I
in
am
the
not-
Dropbox and it auto stopped that shit problem. If you right click on Dropbox, I think you can
Dropbox is not
exit out of
open.
it.
It's not open.
In your
I
tool.
did. It's not open.
Oh, it's not open in your toolbar? Okay.
Dropbox is not open. It's not been open like for an hour. I uploaded it and closed it out. So here, I'll close. I got a lot of windows open here.
Yeah,
Is that
because
better?
for some reason you're the only one. You were cutting out. No one else.
There you
was.
go.
I don't know what happened.
Commence the tirade.
Okay, so I'm saying
Commence tirade.
a famous.
All
Wow,
right.
Wilk's cutting out. Is he still talking? Oh, yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Wilk.
Well, isn't that
sequel
part of
to the Watchmen?
That's part of his argument, though.
He can't create life.
Oh, what?
Not hearing him.
Oh, okay.
Is Wilk talking?
Yeah, I don't know if he's talking or not.
No, I'm not.
Oh,
okay.
No,
quit.
they
I'm not talking.
Doesn't in the book?
But
doesn't
again,
he?
The very end of the book with the destruction of New York.
Hello?
Go on.
Oh, okay.
Hello?
You were talking.
There was like cutting. There was
Yeah,
a
we're all
cutout.
here.
Yeah, okay.
We're just all confused now.
Yeah.
Well, and you do have a tattoo of a silhouette of a duck on you at some point. So obviously you're serious about this.
I've got Han Solo's blaster. I've got a drinking fountain. And yeah,
Dude, that's awesome.
I like drinking. I think drinking fountains represent what's good about humanity. It's like
We are entering the age of Aquarius.
Fun. The duck things get retouched, but yeah, because I mean,
don't touch the duck. Well, you gonna retouch the duck?
Yeah, the duck might need some retouching. So, but yeah, I don't know, but like.
Okay, we haven't done it. We haven't not read a book on Donald Trump's hair yet.
Dude, I wouldn't even let Donald Trump sign my copy of WrestleMania. No way.
You shouldn't.
No way. Will, don't. If Trump is one of your fans, don't succumb to it, dude. It's not worth it, bro.
Dump the Trump. Dump the Trump.
That's right, dude.